Hey, everybody. Absolutely intrigued and excited to have one of the leaders in the upskilling and online learning space, CEO Greg Brown from Udemy. Greg, how are you?
I am great. Good to be with you this morning.
Well, good to have you here. I'm such a fan of you and the team. And before we dive in, I have so many questions. Maybe you could chat a little bit to the audience here, introduce yourself, and who is Udemy for those who aren't familiar with the amazing site, the amazing destination.
Yeah, sure. I'm Greg Brown, CEO of Udemy, and Udemy is an online skills platform for individuals and professionals. It's effectively a global destination with over 70 million learners on the platform now for anybody that has a desire to upskill or reskill themselves in anything from it could be software, sourdough baking, all the way to learning how to be an AI developer, an AWS, developer, and what have you. So the ranges from soft skills, power skills, to technical skills. We serve organizations over 16,000 around the world in their skilling endeavors. So that's a little bit of background on who we are.
Yeah, it's an amazing mission, an amazing site. And you're such an advocate for what we call the skills-based economy.
Yeah.
And of course, you're playing an important role in this transition. Maybe introduce the topic around the skills-based economy. What is it and how do we get there?
Yeah, it's a good question because there's a lot being written about it as of late. Look, I just talked a little bit about what we do as far as being an online skills platform and what have you. And look, in the age of generative AI and the other massive technological innovations that we're all, in the midst of, we really do aim to be the destination for upskilling and are playing a critical role in this transition to what is now known as a skills-based economy. This concept really emerged as a part of a global skills shortage, and McKinsey came out with a report that revealed that 87% of executives are facing massive skills gaps. And as a result of that, our goal, and we really have pivoted our messaging around the fact that our goal is to help professionals and organizations make this transition to a skills-based economy by putting skills out in front rather than just solely focusing on degrees or job titles. And there's been a lot large multinationals, a lot written about, but quite a few large multinationals that have come out, like Google and IBM and Walmart, that have come out publicly and stated they've removed degree requirements from many of their job descriptions in terms of their talent acquisition process. So, it's definitely a movement that's gaining steam, and for good reason.
Indeed. And I've seen you speak and talk on this topic in the past, and you're so personally passionate about it, beyond just a business leadership perspective. How and why is that so personally interesting and important to you, if I can ask?
Yeah, for me, it starts with my upbringing with my father. Actually, he was a foster child and was one of 5 siblings and he was the only one that was able to go to college. Fortunately for him, through a sports scholarship, football scholarship. And that opened a door for him that would have otherwise been closed. And his sisters, unfortunately, because they were not as fortunate to have the opportunity that he did, regardless of the skills or intellect they had, because they were very, very smart, but they did not have an opportunity to go get that education that my father had. So, this is something that, I watched growing up, my dad being very involved in, the foster family community in the town that I grew up in, and giving back as much as he could. He was a teacher and a coach, and his mission was to give back so that he could help kids that were in similar situations have a different outcome than, many kids that he saw in those foster families have. And so anyway, it was, definitely something that I grew up with, a passion for education, a passion for learning. My brother's principal, he started in education, followed my dad's footsteps, and now he's a principal in the town that I grew up in. So education is something that has been really embedded in me, and the investment in other people's development. It's been embedded in me since my youth. So something I'm very passionate about, and that really is what led me to Udemy. The opportunity to come here, and our mission is to transform lives through learning. And And when I had an opportunity to get to know the company and get to know the team, it was something that I just could not pass up.
Oh, wonderful mission, wonderful sentiment. And beyond the value and importance of education and learning in general, let's talk about the skills-based economy, because this is a brave new world. And there are many opportunities at the macro level for economies, entire economies, to transform and compete on the global stage. Of course, for businesses, large and small, to compete, and for individuals to grow our knowledge, our income, et cetera. It's so important. But what other opportunities are there for taking advantage of this great transition we're seeing?
Well, there's a number. I'll touch on two of them for you that are top of mind. First is, and I just touched on this, more equitable access to professional opportunities. I think this is a big one, right? So when hiring managers are screening people for skills that they need for the job, more so than degrees, and even in some cases, experience. The skills are really what are going to make or break that individual's ability to have success in that role. And I think that that's something that we're starting to see, as I just mentioned, become more and more to the forefront. And just like for so many people in the workplace, and at large, a traditional university education just isn't accessible, and so it's just going to open more doors. And along those lines, for organizations like ours and many others, it really broadens the talent pool and enables us to move faster and to innovate faster, right? So just think about what's going on with generative AI right now. We're seeing this massive demand for AI skills. We had Udemy, just on our platform alone, we saw over 4 million enrollments this past year and over 2,000 generative AI courses. So just imagine if, a hiring manager has the ability to open up the aperture and open up these roles to a much larger population, and the impact of that in terms of the ability to acquire talent, bring talent into the organization much more rapidly, efficiently, and give these folks an opportunity that they would, maybe not have had if they didn't take that approach. So, there's a lot that is positive about this movement.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I would add selfishly the opportunity to teach and to be as a content creator and podcaster and live streamer, to teach those skills to others and to monetize that in the process. Pretty cool. What about the role of leadership? Business leaders like yourself, C-suite leaders, obviously play a role in this. But what about political leaders in education and other areas of our society? What role do they play in this new skills-based economy?
Well, yeah, and I talk a lot about this in our organization. We have to lead from the front. And there's no doubt that organizations right now have a massive opportunity from a leadership standpoint to, again, get out in front of this. I'll tell you, how we've done it and how some other organizations are doing this. One of the things that we did is we just wanted to level up the level of AI literacy in our organization. So we rolled out an AI boot camp of sorts, and I challenged all of our leaders, first ones through this boot camp, right? So when we actually posted the leaderboard and started to show the progress across the organization, we were out front, and that set the tone. And I think that any type of new technology that's coming online, especially something as transformative as generative AI, if the organization doesn't see leadership jumping in and learning and growing and developing a competency and a capability in that specific area, it sends a strong message. And I think that that's something that's really important. More recently, some data came out on this, and we've actually done some of our own assessing across our 16,000 customers. And roughly, and this data is data we're going to be releasing in the next month. 83% of senior leaders report that leadership is important to the success of becoming a skills-based organization. Full stop. But less than 30%, I think the number was 28%, of employees believe that their leadership team is effectively communicating their company's strategy and executing that strategy toward that transition of becoming a skills-based org. So there's a big gap. And so really what that presents is a big opportunity. And that's an opportunity that, we at Udemy are really excited about, because we know we can help a lot of organizations through this transition. And a lot of what our customer success team does, and a lot of what we do, is is not just deliver the platform, but we deliver a lot of best practices and insights in terms of how to think about and then how to execute this transition of becoming a skills-based economy. And we're learning every day. We're learning from some of the more progressive organizations we work with and imparting that knowledge, on the rest of the companies that, that we're helping through this process.
Wonderful approach. And you've probably read hundreds of books on leadership over the years, over the decades, no offense. But I wonder how much of those skills are timeless and how much are kind of becoming obsolete, given this new world of generative AI and new work trends and uncertainty, and we're all facing. Do you think about some of the essential skills that leaders will need moving forward, and how to focus on those versus maybe some of the traditional skills that we've all talked about for decades?
Well, we think a lot about it, and I think what's important to call out on this front is that as much as we're focused right now on the technical skilling and aptitude to be able to leverage, technologies like generative AI and others that are moving very, very rapidly, through the process of becoming widely adopted. Look, we've just gone through one of the most difficult transitions from a global community perspective that we've gone through in my lifetime, that's for sure. And that was going into a global pandemic and then coming out of it. And so for all of us, we've had to learn, and I'll speak personally from a leadership standpoint, we've had to learn how to navigate our organizational makeup and how we communicate from a world where we almost immediately overnight went to 100% remote. And then now we transition into this hybrid world. And it takes a lot of adaptability, and then that adaptability leads to, okay, what are the skills does our organization need, and do organizations at large need? Because again, we're in the business of helping organizations develop skills and capability. What do they need to be effective at working in this hybrid world? Well, it's things like, change management and communications and truly leading in a hybrid environment, creative problem solving, and decision making and those types of things. A lot of focus on soft skills and what's now been called power skills. And in terms of, organizations coming to us and really what they're looking for, the types of skills that they believe that they need to thrive in this environment, which, look, if you were to rewind, 4 or 5 years ago, that wasn't the conversation that we were having, the organizations were having. It was a lot more around technical aptitude and maybe internally focused. But now, based on everything that we've gone through and the pace of change and how it continues to accelerate, I think these soft skills, power skills are more important than ever. And I think that's going to remain the case for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, important insight. So you guys at Udemy have been at the forefront of the Gen AI wave and putting out amazing online educational content and courses, et cetera, leading the charge and upskilling with Gen AI. But what do you think some of the skills, this new tool set, what is needed, and what is needed in terms of content and the way we adopt and leverage these new tools?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So Gen AI isn't just increasing the demand for upskilling, it's also making it easier and more effective. And online education initially offered, kind of the first opportunity or foray to open doors to millions of learners to access to education that they had not had access to before. But today, generative AI offers what we kind of believe is the second opportunity for us to disrupt the way we learn and just make it that much more accessible. And so really what excites us and excites me most about the future of education is the power of generative AI to transform lives through learning, for billions of folks around the world. And that really is our endeavor. And there's no doubt that this represents the biggest learning inflection point since modern school was invented in the beginning of the 19th century. I feel strongly about that. And it gives us the opportunity to create a very tailored and adaptive learning experience for everybody that's engaged in content on our platform, and matching up for those individuals exactly what they need to know when they need to know it. And we're talking quite a bit about our roadmap and what we're developing and what's coming, but we did not have the capability to deliver this type of learning experience prior to getting access to this technology. So it really is going to be transformative, and we're just on the first inning of this. It's, we're on the cusp of some really exciting developments in the next, year to two.
Wow, that's so exciting. Can't wait to see it unfold. And when I personally go online for learning and when I see organizations go out there, it's a very fragmented, very challenging environment. You just have to take a look at YouTube and everything else, and it's a bit overwhelming. How do you make sense of that? And how do you think about things like personalization and curation and just staying ahead of this landscape, which is so diverse and yet so overwhelming sometimes? How can you make this process easier for individuals and organizations?
Yeah, I mean, look, we think a lot about that, and we think deeply about the level of personalization and curation that we can now bring to the process so that I'll give you a scenario. So envision a marketing leader inside a workplace, and she's a new manager, and she knows she needs to quickly upskill to be successful in the role. But she not only needs to develop skills to integrate generative AI and everything that we just talked about, but she also knows she needs to produce a really high quality work product, but faster. And she also needs to learn how to lead others through change. We just got done talking about that in this hybrid environment, right? So all of this is in the mix. So instead of throwing into what we historically have done some of this in our platform before we had access to generative AI, into a one-size-fits-all leadership training program, that imagine she gets a personalized experience from beginning to end. She takes an assessment in the beginning to identify what are her current skills, and then where she identifies where she wants to go as a professional, where the company would like her to go, and the outcome she wants to achieve. And then from there, almost instantaneously, leveraging generative AI, you get a pre-built, hyper-personalized learning path, right? That enables her to develop the skills at her pace, adapting that content, to the environment she's operating in. The difficulty of the lessons can modulate based on her progress. And she has the 24/7 tutor, which we're coming out with between now and the end of this year, a learning along for the ride. So and then at the end of that process, and even through some segments of that process, she's got workspaces so she can practically apply. If it's dense learning, if it's technical learning, she can apply what she's learning. And then she has a lab environment at the end to display that she's acquired those skills, right? So she demonstrated the knowledge that she's acquired, and that she has the skills now to do the job or to do the work that she wanted to prepare herself for, the company wanted to prepare herself for, and you have the ability to validate that with an assessment, as well as, and then at the end of it, with a badge or a certificate. So, there's a whole workflow, a whole process that is completely, in the process of being automated. And, it could not be more exciting, because it's really what we all want. It's what I want for my employees. It's what I want for myself. The hyper-personalized learning experience that is not going to take me through content that I already have acquired or skills that I've acquired, right? It's going to be tuned to exactly where I want to go and the outcomes I'm looking for. And it's going to give me the tools to be really efficient and effective at acquiring those skills, at learning. And then I can display that learning at the end of the process. So anyway, that just gives you an idea as to, what you should expect, what everybody should expect out of our platform and a relationship with Udemy over the next couple, 3-5 years. But, and then beyond that, you've got avatars and you've got voice recognition. We're working on some really progressive stuff to be able to enable our instructors with tools and capability to, if probably many of your listeners and followers that saw Reid Hoffman's video that was out there. It was an avatar that looked like Reid.
Amazing.
We've got that ability to bring that technology on platform as well. So that can enable all our 75,000 instructors and growing the ability to not focus on video and editing, but focus on what makes them world-class instructors, which is the content, developing that content and making it that much faster and easier for them to get that content to the world. So anyway, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming, and we're at the tip of the iceberg.
It's unbelievable. I just sort of regret. I wish a bit I had this 10 years ago when I was in middle management in tech. it would have been quite a game changer for my career and my progress. That's for sure. Better late than never. Another thing you're very keen on focusing on is inclusivity and accessibility. What is Udemy? What is the industry? What do your peers need to do to kind of get where we need to be in terms of accessibility, for example, and opening up learning to a wider swath of the population?
Yeah, it's an area that we're also, very focused on, and that generative AI, without question, is going to be a big enabler for. In terms of the accessibility on our platform, we have done a lot to make our platform accessible for not only folks around the world, but for folks that have different types of disabilities and what have you. And we're seeing some very innovative technology being developed, leveraging generative AI, that's going to accelerate our ability to do just that. So, again, it's something that's at the forefront of what we're focused on. And again, on a broad basis, we're in over 125 countries right now on our platform. Wow. So accessibility from a global perspective is very broad. And we're in our Udemy Business Collection, which is a collection that we serve up to our corporate customers. We've got over 14 languages on that platform, and we're in over 70 countries on that platform. In addition to what I just mentioned was on the broader marketplace. So in terms of global accessibility, we're very proud of the work we've done and that our team has done to enable our platform to be accessed pretty much on all four corners of the globe. But there's obviously accessibility for different types of folks with different disabilities and what have you, that we're working on our, for instance, mobile app, and to make that more functionally accessible for different types of categories of folks. So anyway, there's a lot more to come on that.
I bet. You must hear so many amazing stories and anecdotes from individuals, friends, colleagues, organizations of all sizes. Care to share any of those with the audience, or probably too many to tally here on a short podcast today? But
from a corporate perspective, some of the things we're most excited about is hearing companies telling us that if we've helped them create a boot camp or an AI curated AI learning experience, and the impact it's had on employee engagement, on employee retention, on their ability to truly lead in their organization in terms of bringing these types of platforms, but more importantly, learning experiences to their employees, so they have access in a way that they had never had before. And so those are the types of things that I spend a lot of my time with our corporate clients, with the top, I would say Fortune 500, clients. And in fact, I was just in New York and Boston meeting with some of those customers this last week, and hearing these examples of how they have been able to significantly accelerate the pace by which they're delivering learning and the outcomes that they're able to derive. I had one customer tell us that, in fact, I mentioned this example on our last earnings announcement, that using our Udemy Pro our immersive learning product, they were able to increase the first-time pass rate of the certifications for this specific certification by 17% and do it 15 days faster across hundreds of employees. And now they're going to deploy that across thousands of employees. So you can imagine the cost savings for the company. That's one thing, but imagine the impact on the individual, right? To be able to acquire those skills much more efficiently and effectively, much faster, so they actually get to where they want to go faster. The aspiration they have to get that new job, or to get that that next level in their current role. And yes, there's monetization implications there. They make more money, but it's really about the growth of the individual, and that's really what we're all about. Again, it's that notion of transforming lives through learning that we're so passionate about here. And yeah, we're hearing more and more of those examples as more and more organizations are coming online and being able to leverage the platform to develop skills.
Oh, fantastic story. So we're entering the summer months. We slowed down a little bit. And are you looking forward to anything in particular? Any travel, personally, professionally? What's on your radar the next few weeks, couple months?
I've got two teenage boys that are both excited and getting ready for their football season, which is coming up in just a few months. So they've given me a week, so I'm taking them, and we're going to Hawaii for a week, and we're going to go relax and unplug a little bit. And then when I get back, I'm going to some camps. My oldest son is aspiring to play Division I football, so we've got a couple to go visit, and so I'm going to have a busy summer with him. And my younger son is also just a couple years behind him, but training pretty hard as well. So I've got a busy summer ahead, but I'm looking forward to it. This is all stuff that I love.
That's the best. Well, it's so fun. And my son is freshman home for the summer, and I showed him Udemy. He signed up for a couple classes. So
I love
even
it.
despite, glad to get out of the grind of finals, he's going to keep learning. And what a great time in the summer to think about, reading more and upskilling and educating yourself. Well, thanks so much, Greg. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate your insights and the amazing work you and the team do.
Evan, really enjoyed it. Appreciate you having me. Take care.
Thanks so much. Take care.